Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You have Sir Rick, and there's no Drive Safe Dave. What? He is out for today. He's got some other functionalities to do. Let me tell you something. He is a worker, and I'll say that now that he's not on there. He's probably not even watching the show. You know, I will, but anyway, Drive Safe Dave will have him back here on Monday. I also wanted to take the time to say, hey, let you know some new programming that's going to happen. Next week we'll operate as normal Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we have we're going to kind of get the show ready. We're going to show some best ofs throughout the next couple of weeks. We're getting ready as we move the show from 7 a.m. We're going to bring that to the noon time. You know, get people a chance to wake up. We're a little too much sometimes for some of you folks to take. I get it. Where do we get this energy? Where do we bottle it up from? What are you all doing so early in the morning? All of that. But we're going to move the show to noon. And there's a big reason for that. It gives us a chance at noon to kind of talk about what's going on already today. So we don't have to wait until tomorrow to talk about any news from today. So it's going to give us more, better insight, better information, perhaps, better content for you as we talk about the real thing. And it will give you a chance to participate a little more. It's tough to get up. I get it. This early to watch BCB Live. So get ready for that. We're going to have some news for you. We're going to show you some, some of the new programming dates as we get ready for that change. We also we're in the construction phase of the new studio. You know, the new studio, it's in a 5,500 square foot facility downtown. And I always say downtown because people are like, man, you're in downtown Dallas, Fort Worth? Talk to me. Where are you at? No, it's Mansfield, Texas. Not quite Dallas or Fort Worth, but downtown is downtown, and it's a cool little downtown. That's where we're located at. We're going to operate out of there, bring you the news, bring you the, what's happening, and change some of our formats again to give other trucking companies an opportunity to do some things. What we're known for, another aspect of our business, is what we do behind the scenes. BCB Live is a show, and it's kind of national news. We're bringing it to everybody. But then we turn in to other folks. We want to talk to them about their safety, about what's going on at their company. We become that talent for them. And all of a sudden, it doesn't look like BCB Live. It looks like another trucking company with their own station. And we are talking about safety. Do you realize that's what we're here for? That the news and all the comedy and all of that, it's all good. But when Drive Safe Dave and I, when we talk about safety, there's a true passion for that. And for those of you that don't know, yes, we have a trucking company, around 300 trucks that we run out of our trucking terminal, totally separate from BCB Live. We have warehousing. We have a big brokerage. And it does. So safety to me, it's not just about my drivers. It's not just about our drivers. It's not just about Drive Safe Dave's drivers. It's about you. And let me tell you something else. It's about protecting those that aren't truckers. I'm talking about your husband, your wife, your sons, your grandma, grandpa, your neighbors. I'm saying we owe it to them to give them that same opportunity to get back home safe. That's got to be our passion. I look at financials from trucking companies, and we've seen the second quarter pretty much complete now. We've seen all the trucking companies done, and once again, we saw some good numbers. But I look at some of these companies, good numbers, mediocre numbers, even some of the companies that have posted some bad numbers, I would say, especially in the second quarter. And I go back and I look at their safety. And I look how it affects them financially. And I look how it must affect their turnover, their downtime, their repairs, their non-reportable, their DOT accidents, all of that. And I sit and I wonder, are they as a company from the top down not the drivers going up, okay? I believe a driver is out there and they make it their decision today that they're going to drive safe. Nobody gets on that road and said, today I'm going to get into an accident. Nobody. What are we on this side doing to make sure that we're with them in that culture, that we're creating that culture? And that culture is not about were you on time or why were you late. It's about, are you going to make it there safe? That's what it's about. BCB. Be safe. Communicate. And if you can, and it's so important, be safe. This right back here, BCB. Be safe. Communicate. If something's going on, communicate, right? If you're running late, communicate. If the driver's running late, most of you have technology that tells you they're running late. They've already communicated. Don't use the old excuse, well, he should have called and told me he was running late. Your computer probably told you that yesterday. Be safe. Communicate. And if you can, be on time. And if you can, it's not a value being on time. Protecting life is the value. Being on time, that's a priority. Are you paying companies? Are you paying your drivers? Are you paying independent contractors? Are you paying your brokerage carriers money to be on time? Are you doing that? Are you encouraging them to run when they're worn out? Are you encouraging them to say, no matter what, you can make an extra $100 if you're on time? I mean, why wouldn't they be on? Are you setting them up to be on time? Are you asking them to run when they're worn out? Because that's the only way they're going to get that. And sometimes, guess what? They fall asleep. Sometimes they get tired, they get drowsy. They don't pay attention to that distance. What values are you, the broker? What values do you have? What values do you, the trucking company, what do you have? Is it just to make sure that your on-time percentage is this? Are you looking at your safety? Are you looking at that culture of the driver? Are you looking at your turnover? Or are you just making sure that you document enough stuff so when that driver quits, you can say, well, look at us notes. Look at this. I got 18 pages of things they did wrong. Well, don't they do something right? And here's what I got for you. Trucking companies, I want you to listen to me for a second. We're so good at documenting things sometimes, right? Because when they quit, we don't want to be the blame. We don't want to say, well, we want to be able to say, well, they sucked, right? They were no good. The question I always ask is, why do they tend to quit? I mean, if they were that bad, wouldn't you get rid of them? Why do they quit when they're that bad? Right? You know what I'm talking about. What are you doing to create success? What are you doing to make that driver successful, to make sure they take that money home to their family? That when they're gone for a week or two, they have money to go back home. And when they don't, what do you do? Because those moments right there, those are the moments that define the driver's mental aspect when they're driving back home or driving back to your company to quit. Are they driving back angry? What's going on? What are you doing to make a positive difference, a positive influence in our industry that so desperately needs it? Isn't there a reason we have a driver shortage? I mean, any time there's a shortage in any industry, don't you wonder, kind of like I do, is like, well, if that industry was good, I mean, wouldn't people want to come and work there? And when people don't want to come work at your place, when they don't want to enter our industry, are we taking a deep dive look at what we're offering? Is there a reason people don't want to come here? Do people not want to come and work for free? I mean, can we blame them? What are we doing to our industry to drive people here? What are you doing? You have an ability to make a positive influence on all of this. You do have that opportunity. Hey, today, listen, we have an interview with Grace Sharkey with FreightWaves, she's part of the FreightWaves network. She's a podcaster. She is as full of energy as I am this morning. She's as excitable. She's full of knowledge. Let me tell you something. We're going to get to know her, some of her thoughts, what she's doing, some of her episodes that she does, who, what, where, why, when. All of that's coming up next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear gives you the added benefit of providing a barrier to liquids, dirt, and grime, keeping you cleaner longer, brighter longer, and therefore safer longer. Get your high visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
All right, and we are, as promised, joined by Grace Sharkey. Grace, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good, especially after that pep talk. Wow, that's why I love this show. It's like you wake up early and you get a giant cup of coffee just straight from Rick. So I love it. Thanks so much for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure to have you on. And you know what? What are your thoughts? I'm going to get off script already. We probably knew that was going to happen. We talk about this industry right now, and we hear about the driver shortage. What are your thoughts? And I kind of gave mine, but where are you at with that, with the driver shortage?
Well, you know what? I wanted to kind of add on to that wonderful educated rant that you just went on. Yesterday I was just talking on the Sirius XM show about the fact that there's a number of elections held yesterday. And so it's like, there's so many times I think we even report on FreightWaves the different infrastructure bills we have going on, issues with legislation not representing drivers correctly, problems with just individual FMCSA regulations, etc. And it's, it made me think, even when you're just talking now, it's like, what are trucking fleet owners doing to make sure that even, drivers are set up to vote, to like have their representation? Think of how many millions of people that are on the road during these days, during these election days. What are you doing to make sure they have their absentee ballots? What are you doing to make sure that they are home on time, ready to vote, or can possibly get that in during the day? So there's so many small things I think that owners could consider when it comes to the lifestyle of a driver and how they could make it just a little bit easier. And 100%, we all know one of the biggest costs out there is recruiting and retaining and continuous development of employees. So it's interesting how you put it. It's like we might be upset with a number of drivers and their performance and their skills, but we aren't letting them go. If anything, they're continuing on with their career at a different company. So there's just so many different areas when it comes to especially development training in any type of career that I think is really important to creating a trusting long-term relationship with an employee.
No, and you bring up a great point. I mean, we'll go right back to AB5. What a better example than AB5 when this last year and a half, when this has been up and kind of in the state and everything, where these drivers, the independent contractors, they were out working. I mean, in this industry, I mean, they were just busy. And all of a sudden, they didn't vote, they couldn't protest, they couldn't do any of that last year. They were too busy keeping our country going. And now, after it's too late, now we get out and we start our protest. And what did we do as an industry at that time to make sure that those that are going to be affected are getting their voice out? Just a great example there. Great point.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so here we go. So you talked about Sirius XM. You're part of Great Quarter Gals. You're on FreightWaves. You're a podcaster. How did you get involved in all of this?
Well, prior to FreightWaves, I actually helped build a freight brokerage up in Michigan to probably about $80 million, and then left there to start consulting. And I've always been a Freightwaves fan. I followed Freightwaves since it was a blog. I remember like their first like on live TV episode of like Freightwaves Now that they had, which is like so different and vastly different than the studio setup they have now. And I was really close to Kevin Hill and Dooner. I used to call into their Sirius XM show on the weekends to ask questions about our business and growing that. And a good friend of mine, Ryan Schreiber, in the industry, after I left there, was like, I think you would be good at this. I think you have an interesting point of view in the industry, and I think people would like to hear it. So I reached out to Kevin, JP, and a number of individuals over here and said, what do you have open? I'd love to contribute towards this, not even just a specific role, but just towards this organization as a whole. And I love the mentality of delivering such important news for this industry. I can't tell you how many times I've watched maybe just clips of like things on CNBC where they're talking about a lot of the topics we talk about on a daily basis, and it just kind of like goes right over their head. It's very macro focused. It's not focused on the issues. And I just wanted to be a part of that. And I'd always loved freight technology as well. So, as I started writing, I quickly had the ability to join a few podcasts. I have a retail podcast as well that I do.
Oh, wow.
And then just this last March, the Sirius XM position opened up, and Kevin called me. He was like, I think you'd be great on it. And it's been an absolute blast so far. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like a bunch of signs from God that I kind of just followed. And it's just been an incredible ride so far.
You still find this, and you probably know better than most, is this still, in what you see, a male-dominated audience? And if so, what have you done to really put yourself in there amidst all that?
I would say definitely yes. And even when we go to different live events, you can see it in the population. Women in trucking events are a little bit different, but I think the reason that we started Great Quarter Gals was for this specific reason. And what's interesting is a lot of the feedback that I get on the show, positive feedback, comes from males in the industry. I think that it's been lightly an accident that it's gotten this far with such little women in it. And I think a lot of leaders in the industry are starting to realize, we're just missing out on 50% of the population, if not more, as employees by not focusing on bringing more women on. There's a number of trucking companies that really pride themselves on the number of females that they have behind the wheel, and all that's starting to come out. And so with Great Quarter Gals, we really like to drive that initiative. We love to have people on the show who have been in this industry for years and years to showcase that there have been women in this industry. Maybe they just haven't been given the opportunity or can positively been invested in by their employers. So for us, it's just a way for me and Kaylee to kind of give back and hopefully positively suggest ideas to business leaders of how they can get more women into their business, and more importantly, retain them and grow their careers within their four walls.
Yeah, I believe we saw from women in trucking that the drivers went from like 10% to 13% with women involved in trucking. That's a huge number right there. And again, it really does for trucking companies, and shippers, for all of us receivers. We've got to really truck stops. We've got to change what we do today to get more women involved. Again, in an industry that is short on drivers, we have to recognize where we are failing and make the changes to bring those involved into the industry. And I will say this, with our trucking company, with most trucking companies, and it's probably no different than when you get out of high school, or I have kids that I have a son and a daughter that I have insurance for. Hey, guess what? It's a lot cheaper for my daughter than it is for that. Women, even in trucking, tend to have less accidents involved in the big trucks.
Yeah. I will say in the brokerage, whenever I did get a female driver behind the wheel, the due diligence was absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how many times I'd get calls. Yep, every single pallet, counted every pallet, they're all there, and it's like, God, you know what I have to do to get a guy to go behind the truck? So they're I think they're making up for lost time, and that's incredible. And it's funny. There's like an interview with Reese Witherspoon where she complains about a lot of the scripts in Hollywood that point towards, and we've all seen it, those movies where something's going wrong and the female leader is like, what do we do? What do we do? And what female has you met in your life who has no idea what to do in a crisis? It doesn't happen, right? So this is why I love this industry, because I think it's exactly a lot of the skills that women have just naturally.
Yeah, and you bring up, and it's a story I tell quite a bit, but inside when we have things that go wrong, typically it's a data entry, something with data entry. The data was entered in wrong. Something happened on that. And anytime that it's wrong, I always say this: a dude did something to the load. The dude built the load. It's shit. And you brought it up when you're dispatching to the women, the detail that they're in, right? I mean, it really is absolutely amazing. And dudes just typically don't have that same attention to detail for whatever reason. All right, here we go, Grace. So you're known, and you call yourself a freight tech nerd. All right, what does that mean?
So in my business, I was really focused on operations, right? Automation. How can we make people's jobs more enjoyable by taking out those stupid minutia tasks? A lot of the ones that are data entry that it's gonna lead to errors anyways. And there's so much technology out there right now. And what I really enjoy doing in my role is seeing those technologies, demoing those technologies, and then pointing the end consumer, brokers, shippers, carriers, etc., to the correct type of technology for them. I think what's wrong with a lot of marketing in freight tech is that it's very much, everyone needs this tool. Everyone will be, this can support any size trucking company or any size brokerage. And that's just not true. It's the same in our own lives. There's a lot of there's technologies babies don't need. There's technologies that adults don't need, right? So I like pointing out that in each different technology and what it's used for, what it's truly used for, and who the end consumer should be for it. I mean, there's so much out there right now, so much investment in this space when it comes to freight tech, and I think there's a lot of very unclear marketing in a lot of segments, and that's where I have fun, is like really pushing those leaders to say no, like what is this truly solving for a customer?
Like that part, yeah, because there is, and you hit it right. I mean, when you go to, and as many shows as you go to, even if you go to the freight, you talk about the Freight Wave show that was just held in Northwest Arkansas, you see all of those vendors out there, and you quickly, they can't all do all for everybody. Some of them probably, they're better for a 10 or 20 truck operation as opposed to that 1,000 truck operation.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just had a conversation with someone yesterday. They're all very great at selling. Like they know they know the problem that they're trying to solve. They're very good at communicating that over, but not all of them are great at actually producing the outcome that they want for the consumer at the end of the day. So I think that's where I have a little bit more fun is figuring out, okay, where are we though on those steps? Is that a demo? Is that in beta? And what are people actually buying at the end of the day?
Yeah, and we're users of McLeod software, so I'll just start with there. And,
nice.
And no matter who you talk to, oh yeah, we're part of an integration with McLeod. You're like, are you really? And where are you at with it? Because it takes like three. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But it's it's where are you at? Because I believe there's a lot of. I mean, it's phenomenal what we're seeing at the digital brokerage. All that we see entering into this arena, and Grace, I'm just going to say is that the data we have in our industry, it's really, I truly believe that it's only really good up to say 2018 when we got the electronic logs, because all of a sudden that forced us to all have the right data. And so you
Yes.
go back, and I tell that to shippers, receivers, you want to go back to 2015, but the data really wasn't good. Heck, we struggle with data being entered in the system correctly today.
Yeah, touche, 100%. And it's I love that you bring up the LDs because it's that, and we talk about like real time visibility, right? And talking about making drivers' lives easier. And I think that is one of the things I'm looking most forward to with real time visibility players is getting to the point where we the drivers don't feel like they're being tracked, right?
Yeah.
That constant feedback that you get. I mean, it. I think you and I could go both ways on that argument, but a lot of the technology is literally quite literally tracking their personal cell phones, and I'm excited for the point that we can finally get to. I think it'll be hopefully soon, where our technology is so good with cameras on the roads and things of that nature, cameras on the trucks, that we're starting to track the assets and not the person behind the asset.
No, that's a great point indeed on that. All right, so I want to make sure I bring this up in here. There are a lot of women in our industry doing, that are important to what we do, from women in trucking to some of the podcast, Kaylee Nix, which y'all do on Great Quarter Gals. Hey, talk to me about some of the gals, some of the ladies that have been important to you, and maybe your go-to people in what you do today.
I'd say I have.
Don't leave any names out either.
No, yeah, I'll throw the names out there for sure. Three in particular come to mind. One who's been a longtime friend since about 2015 is Cassandra Gaines, who runs the Mad Gaines podcast. I actually started reaching out to her because it's funny. It's when you're first starting a brokerage, it's hard to find lawyers who know anything about transportation that aren't going to charge you for the research for it. So she was a really great source for me to talk to and have an idea of how to run and run risk assessments of a business over time. So her and I have become really great friends, and there's a lot of, part of the reason I'm here today is because of the drive that she's given me and the confidence that she's giving me in this space as well. So she's a long-term friend right there that I will always support. Past that, I'd say after starting at FreightWaves, two come in particular. One I know is watching the show right now, Miss Ingrid Brown. She is an absolute delight and is just so full of knowledge and knows so many people in the industry that I just love hanging out with her, talking with her. She actually delivered a load up here probably about 6 months ago, and we got lunch, which was really fun too. And she's great at all the live events. And I really love about her, she's like, she has no fear. She's just gonna go for it when it comes to content. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But what happens in life, you learn lessons from that kind of stuff. So she is just an absolutely on fire, and I love what she's doing at FreightWaves too. And then the third is probably Clarissa Hawes. She is our investigative reporter here at FreightWaves, and the way that she goes about her job and the due diligence that she does, and the amount of people that she knows, just the amount of just like industry secrets and knowledge that she has is just like insane. I don't know how her brain can handle it, but she just covers her job so well. And a lot of times we have to write about unfortunate stories in the industry, and a lot of those fall on her plate. And I hope everyone just realizes out there the due diligence that she does to make sure all those stories are accurate and that the right people are represented is a lot of work, and it's a lot of stressful work. Like, I love doing freight tech demos all day. That stuff's fun. But talking to people about, being let go of a job or how a company you look at this Link.io stuff, hasn't paid them in 2 months, that can really pull on your heartstrings, and it's a lot of stress. So those three have been really impactful in my life and career so far.
Awesome, and Ingrid was on our show, I believe, last week.
Yeah.
I know Clarissa as well. And again, when you see her on a story, it's always, company went bankrupt, drivers got stranded, and you're like, my goodness, what a tough job she has. It's like all she writes about are those things, but she is absolutely phenomenal. She gets down and dirty. She's the first person to go to if you have something, and she's going to do her homework. The first one you brought up, I don't know, because she's actually, and I just told this to somebody, I'm like intimidated by her. Anybody that stands up and does her things, and she's an attorney, she'll get up and do her thing, and she pops open a Bud Light. I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm scared. I'll wait till I got to have a Bud Light before I talk to her, I guess. But no, I do watch a little bit of Cassandra Gaines, her show. Very passionate as well at what she does. And I love the passion that you have, that these folks have for what they do. In our industry, let me tell you something. If you're not passionate about what you do, and I want you to kind of, as we close this segment up here, I want you to talk about, why the passion for what you do. What is your why, really, for what you do?
I think at the end of the day, it's every single day I leave this industry with more knowledge than I have. And the end consumer just has absolutely no clue how any of this works. I love hanging out with my friends who ask me about my job and what I'm doing, because they're just it's so over their head. But yet it's literally everything around them. It's the biggest conundrum to me to be a consumer and to buy from different retailers and buy from different stores, or even complain about a delivery being a day later. So, but having absolutely no clue the amount of technology behind that supply chain, the amount of players behind that supply chain. People ask me, how does this work? And I'll tell them, drive next time that you go long distance somewhere, count how many trucks you see. Yes. And imagine, who's finding those loads, or even an item that you see, right? Something even an iPod, where did that metal come from? Where did that plastic come from? How did all those pieces come together? It's much more than just one simple OEM that makes the full car. Those supplies come from somewhere, and it's just, I love bringing it and making it fun content so that the average consumer, the friends that I have who went to college with me for law, that are what are you doing with your life now? Can say, oh, okay, this makes sense, and this is why we're seeing higher prices, and this is why our global economy is going the way that it's going. This is why gasoline and diesel is so high, right? So I just love making it digestible content so the average person has some idea of how their economy is running.
All right, Grace, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on here. As we close this, I want you to, to tell our listeners, hey, if they want to watch you on one of your many podcasts you do, from SiriusXM to Freight Waves, what's the best way for them to do that? How do they get in contact with you? And then I want you to close it. I want you to say your name, who you work with, and that you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Grace, it's all on you.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on LinkedIn. I have my link tree that'll get you to all of our shows. Check me out every day, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Road Dog Trucking Channel for Freightwaves Drive Time. We take callers, so I'd love to hear everyone's opinions. And then on Tuesdays, Freight Quarter Gals is 3 to 3:30 on Freightwaves TV. And then Point of Sale is on from 2:30 to 3 on Wednesdays on Freightwaves TV. And of course, my name is Grace Sharkey. I'm with Freightwaves and Freightwaves TV and SiriusXM, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. Hey, Grace, thank you so much. Thank you for getting up. I know you have a busy day ahead of you. Make it happen and get that news out there. Thank you again, Grace.
Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, you've been watching BCB Live. We're going to take a break. We're coming back, and it's hot, right? I don't know what else he's going to say. Dale, double check, Dale. Here's what I need you. Show me, I don't care if you have to go out 3 weeks. Show me some rain somewhere in the forecast. Please, please, please. Coming up next on BCB Live. You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live. You got Double Check Dale here talking about weather. Today we'll take a little break, come back and talk safety and look at videos. There is not a lot going on today. We're going to start with some precipitation. Currently, we got a little bit of precipitation through Oklahoma, southern Missouri up through the Illinois, Indiana states, but nothing major, nothing looking severe, just some regular old thunderstorms going on. As we go into about the noon hour, that storm shifts a little bit to the south and to the east. Now it's into Tennessee a little bit. Later this afternoon, we do see a lot of pop-up thunderstorms, a lot of chances for precipitation out there. Out in the west, you know, Colorado, New Mexico, should see some, maybe northern Arizona. Those storms in Illinois and Indiana, they're still there, but none of them look very strong. Lots of lightning with it, maybe some stronger winds with it. They're starting to shift to the east, and we're seeing out in Lexington, or out in Kentucky, Virginia. The Ohio River Valley is going to get some rain. And then this afternoon, the Gulf Coast states down along the Gulf Coast, Louisiana, Mississippi, some rain going on there. Florida will pick up some rain this afternoon. None of those storms look very severe or like they have any major tornado threats for tornadoes. Always a lot of wind with them. Some of them may be heavy with lots of rain. But that's what's going on there. Rick said show you some rain. You know, if we go all the way out to next Tuesday, it looks like maybe Tuesday afternoon or so, there's rain around the Dallas area. Not much of a chance and not a lot of it, but for now, that's what it looks like right now. Maybe next Tuesday, some rain, but that'll change. That will change, I am sure on that. Now let's take a look at some temperatures. And again, we all know that it's really hot, and it's going to be hot for the next couple days, 4 or 5 days. We do see a reprieve from the hundreds right now. It's forecast next week to see a little bit cooler. This afternoon, the Dallas and the Texas area in the triple digits. And we also see triple digits up in Montana, so that heat is just all the way through central United States. Very, very hot. There is a heat advisory in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas this afternoon, so be aware of that. No major winds going on until this afternoon. We will see some stronger winds up in Montana and Idaho, Wisconsin this afternoon. You'll see those stronger winds. A little bit of winds going on there in Nebraska and South Dakota, but nothing major anywhere else. With that, we'll take a short break and come back and talk some safety.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
And we are back and better than ever on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Dale, we continue to talk about backing. Get out and look. And you know, it is so critical. I mean, again, when you think about it, it's hard to tell how many, but it's undoubtedly the majority of backing accidents involve somebody who didn't get out and look. And you really kind of know most of the time they didn't, because if there was something there, if there was a car there, well, why would you go back anyway? I mean, if the area was too tight, if there was a fence right there, and you got out and looked. Well, you would mark where you're going to back up against, and whatever that is, you would get out and do those things to avoid backing into something if you got out and looked.
Absolutely. And we're talking about getting out and look, and a lot of times we just get into a hurry. And so today we're talking a little bit about patience. Rick, you just have to be patient. You have to get out of your truck. You have to survey the surroundings. It's not a sign of an experience when you get out and do that. It's a sign that says, hey, tells the rest of the I'm a professional. I want to do this right. I want to do this without an accident. So, get out and look. Don't be embarrassed by that. It shows that you're professional. It shows that you care. Commit yourself to safety. Back slowly. That's probably another thing. When we talk about patience, a lot of times we get in there and we just want to get back up to the dock. Back slowly. The slower you back, the more control you have over your truck, the more opportunity you have to stop before you make that contact. It keeps your vision, your line of sight a little bit better, and you have more reaction time.
Yeah, you brought up a phenomenal point. I'm going to kind of jump on it, and that was the get out and look. As you brought up that it doesn't mean you're a rookie if you get out and look. I would say this is that probably most of the kids coming out of school, coming into this, they're getting out and looking. So it appears that way. Unfortunately, we break that habit at some point. We become comfortable with what we're doing. We've been doing I've backed up now a million times. I don't need to get out and look. And let me tell you, they train you that in school. And if you remember as a driver, when you used to do that all the time, because you weren't comfortable. And all of a sudden we get comfortable. And Dale, I want you to talk about that, because we get comfortable on backing up and we have no idea what's back there because we can't see back there.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, Rick. It just becomes, we talk about getting comfortable, we talk about habits. And so, I backed up 100 times, 1,000 times, I've never hit anything. So, we think, well, it's going to be 1,001. You still have to get out and look. Because again, when we talk about these backing accidents, it's not just about what's behind you, it's about what's alongside you. It's about what's in front of you, that fence, that curb. Because so many times we see damage to the front of the truck on a backing, because we lost our focus. I've done it 1,000 times. You're so busy watching behind you, you're not watching everything else around you.
True. Safety is no accident. We've heard that, and then it's just honest to God the truth. It's not. It's intentionality is what it is.
Well, safety never rests. And so as soon as you rest, as soon as you get comfortable with it, that's when you start letting your guard down and things start to happen.
And you brought up patience, and we think about patience because as a driver, and it's important that the dispatch team, the operations team, that we know the same thing. Heck, let's go to recruiters for orientation, is that when a driver feels that they're running late, when a driver feels that I've got to get out of orientation because I already have a load planned on me, you've lost the patience, right?
Yep.
Matter of fact, you've lost patience, and when you lose patience, you begin to rush.
Yep. And you talked about it earlier about, getting in a hurry, and so they get there and they be on time, and so they get there, well, I'm on time, I'm going to get this load complete. Hey, that's not the time to let your guard down. Yep. That's not the time to get in a hurry. That's the time to have a little patience, get out of your truck, walk it around, survey the situation. For certain. All
right, comes to our favorite segment. This is the one that everybody truly does love. These are the videos that we get sent in. And Dale, let's just talk about the videos before we go to them. We use the videos for what reason?
To learn, to teach, to show what happens out there, because we see a lot of things, excuse me, Rick, we see a lot of things out there as a driver, but we don't see everything. And so by looking at some of these videos, we see stuff that hopefully we never encounter, but if we do, we've seen it and something in your brain goes, hey, here's how I should react, or here's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yesterday we saw the video. Here it is, a driver's going down, trucker's going down the left lane. And up ahead, there's a truck and a car making kind of a U-turn off a 4-lane road. The truck, the semi-truck, is stopped in that passing lane. The big truck, you see it getting closer and closer. He's able to stop, it appears, right, without anything happening on that. But those are things you've got to look out for. You've got to be ready, because sometimes those brake lights aren't going to be on. They're not working, whether they should or shouldn't. they may not be on, you still don't have the right to rear end somebody.
No, and it still goes to show, you know, if you lose focus, if you get distracted just for that 1 second, those 2 seconds, how quickly things change. I mean, because how quickly we came up behind that truck, because I don't know if he lost focus, but something wasn't there because that truck had been sitting there for a while.
Oh, yeah, and we also use these so we can look at it from that aspect, but it's also a great opportunity to learn and to see, you know what, maybe if I'm that truck that almost got rear-ended, maybe I don't stop there next time.
Yeah.
Maybe I go ahead and move into the median, or maybe I just keep going and turn around somewhere else. Because again, even though it perhaps won't be your fault, you don't want to get rear-ended.
Yeah, or at the very least, maybe I turn my four-way flashers on, or I keep my foot on the brake to get some sort of warning out there. Give somebody some advance notice that, hey, I'm in the middle of the roadway, I'm stopped.
Yep, so for, all right, it is video time. Get them going. Here we go. Video number 1.
First one we got is called How Did We Get Here?
You know, we're just too close in here. And you got to ask yourself, you know, how did we get here? Did we lose the focus on it? Is this just a habit? Are we just trying to time this to get out and pass? However we got here, we have to recognize it. We got to change that situation. We got to get the heck out of this, following this close.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's from one bad thing to the other. I mean, we talked about patience a little bit earlier. Let's have some patience.
Yeah, you have to have it. Again, what Dale, when we look at this, you're just too close to that vehicle ahead of you. If something happens, and it gets worse, right?
Yeah.
Because we get closer to pass this truck up ahead of us. If something happens, if there's a truck up ahead of this truck that we can't see, he maybe in front of us isn't paying attention, slams his brakes on, let me tell you folks, we are in trouble.
Yep.
We're going to rear in that truck. We want to make sure that we're a few seconds back. You don't want to pass like this. These are old habits that we want you to see, learn, and look at, and make better decisions if you can going forward.
Yeah, and if we talk about the big picture here, we have none because we got a big truck immediately in front of us. We got another one on the other lane that we're too close to. We have just limited everything we see, and so now that even takes more reaction time out because we can't see what they're seeing.
There you go. Video number 2.
This next video we got is called Make Sure You Stop and Yield.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. If we'd have just came, if the driver in this one would have just came to a complete stop, you know, we don't see any of this because that's what it is, you know, and whether he had the right of way or not, doesn't matter. At that point, we have to kick into, it's about preventing. It's not about who would be at fault. It's about preventing this from happening. If I stop and wait, if I show a little bit of patience here, this never happens.
Yeah, and I mean, these are videos that really, we also want to share with our families, right? We want to talk about them because, you know, our kids, you know, four-wheelers, do you realize what you're doing? Do you realize that these trucks can't stop? And you know, it's like the little truck bullied the big truck in a way. He was going to go no matter what.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to stop.
No.
You know what? So it was almost like a game of chicken here. Hey, big truck, just let him go. You know what? You can't stop people from doing things like this. You want to stop, let him go. You know, he's obviously made his mind up, but this is craziness. But again, I agree with what you said to open this up. You know, you just may want to let him go. Just stop beforehand.
Yeah, it's about being that professional driver there because I guarantee you get in this accident, you have a lot more to lose as a professional driver than he does. Protect your license.
Yep, for
Have some patience.
And even if that, let's just go back to this, and let's just say it's a no fault. Hey, guess what? You're still going to lose in court. You're going to pay his fees. His back or her back is going to be hurt for years. You know, it's all part of it. Those are the things that we say it's not worth it. Those are invaluable decisions that you make every day that help protect your own company or perhaps the company you drive for. Yeah. These are things that really do affect that bottom line. You've got to make sure that you're protecting yourself, protecting your company, or protecting the company you're driving for from any of these lawsuits that could happen from something like this.
Yeah, instead of thinking, is it my fault, start thinking about, could I have prevented it? What can I do to prevent it? And you get that mindset, a lot of these habits or things change.
Next video we got is called Closing the Gap, Not Good.
You know, we start out too close here, and most of the time the goal is to always gain space, but for whatever reason, we start to close that gap up again. It's again, do we lose the focus? Is it just a habit? Are we zoned out? We've got to stay alert. You know, we saw that the other day with coming up behind that big truck, how quickly things change. We have to stay alert. We have to, when we get in these situations, take those corrective actions, get out of them, make everybody around us, including ourselves, safer by doing that.
Yeah, and so sometimes we just feel comfortable, Dale, because I'm going 10, 9, 8 miles under the speed limit. I feel like I can stop, and you just need another. I mean, slow down for a second, 2 seconds, put it back in cruise or whatever you're doing, and you're gonna be in good shape.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Literally, if you slow down, if you backed off 2 seconds, you'd be 3 seconds behind this vehicle. The view's not that much different, but you are in a safer position.
Yeah, and like you said, we're already going under the speed limit. So many times the driver says, "Well, I'm already on the speed limit. What more do you want me to do?" I want you to increase that space.
Yep.
I want you to make it safe for everybody.
Yeah, you can be further behind and still go 64, 65.
Yeah.
You're just a little bit further behind. That's all you are. You're not losing what you think. These are items that you out there, a driver, if you're listening right now, that you've got to want to make that difference. It's got to be your passion that says, I am going to make sure that I set myself up for success. And the success I speak of is the success of protecting life. Next one.
We got 2 more videos. This one's called Gotta See the Big Picture.
And again, we talk about having to see a big picture. We have to look at everything that's happening ahead of us. We have to look far enough ahead. We have to look around us, not just get that tunnel vision. Have this driver done a little better job of doing that, we don't get in the situation. We see that truck is merging on. We're seeing in the big picture, there's not a long merge lane. I've got to take corrective action sooner than having to hit the brakes hard here to allow that space.
Yeah, no, and we see some of these in that right lane on merge traffic. It becomes a tough way to be.
Yeah.
You don't know how the four-wheeler is going to act behind you on this. What you can do, though, is kind of just own that space again. Make the decision way back there that go ahead and flash the driver, CB, and whatever it is you're doing, let him get in that lane. You're not, I mean, nothing different would have happened.
No.
Same result would have happened.
In 3 seconds, we're in the same place we would have been in.
No doubt about it. All right, next one, last video.
Last video of the day is called Great Choice, Not All Hard Brakes Are Bad.
And we see this car goes through, it's a red light on this left-hand turn. In fact, you can see the traffic on the other side. It almost started to move. It started to move a little bit, and that car decided red light doesn't mean anything to me and goes through. A driver here does a great job of stopping on this red light. You know, you think about it, reverse this, where the truck is first and the car's behind. The truck goes through. That car's going to follow him right through.
Yeah.
That's leading him out into unsafe situations. So driver, great job here.
Yes, you know, again, some hard brakes, they're just good. What we don't want to do is follow this person right here. We made the best decision to stop, to not put ourselves or others in danger. And again, it seems simple. I mean, the light's red, but you know what? You've got to be prepared to stop at those things. You got to, in your mind, you got to see it as red.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see that red, that green, or that yellow as kind of greenish. I can still make it. And what we want you to do is respect the color red, and that means stop signs, stop lights. Don't push it.
Yeah, you got to be thinking, hey, I can stop for this. I'm going at a speed. I can stop for this. If it changes, I am in position to stop, instead of thinking, well, if it doesn't change right now, can I make it through? It's more about thinking about how to stop or getting stopped instead of how can I make it through before the next cycle.
Yeah, and for certain, one thing we do know is that when you come across a stop sign or a stop light, there's always an intersection there. And we do know those are dangerous, folks. That means that some people aren't going to appreciate it on the other side. They're going to run the red light.
Yep.
They're going to try to make it just in time. They're going to try to time that green light. So when they go through that light, they're the first one through. And if somebody's going the other way, runs that red light, yellow light, whatever you want to call that, accidents happen in intersections. Respect the stop signs. Respect the stop lights. Make sure you stop no matter what at those reds.
Make that intersection safer for everybody.
Yes,
do
for
the right thing in it.
All right, everybody, we're going to close it out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you once again for this day you've given us. We just ask a special prayer for these drivers out in the road today. to get them home safe, to keep them safe on the road, and to allow them that mindset to get others home safe as well. Give them the success to get empty, get them the success to drive safe, give them the success to have a parking spot today. All of these things that we just need them to get so their minds can be at ease and they can be safer on that road. And Lord, we just ask this one thing for certain: get them back home to their families safe. Ask all this in your son's name, we pray. Amen. Double Check Dale, Sir Rick, we'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Until then, make today the safest effort. We'll see you tomorrow.